Hey moms, welcome to the show. I'm excited about today's episode. I have on with me Devyn Ricks, who's a mom gamer, and it's her passion. And this show speaks to the idea of taking your knowledge and your passion and turning it into something meaningful to help others and also to make money from it. So Devyn is a prime example of that. She took her gaming passion, started a side hustle helping kids, and now it's a very lucrative business. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss this episode. Welcome to MOMetize Your Passion, a place for moms with big dreams and an eagerness to turn them into a thriving reality. Whether you're a mom seeking to monetize your passions, transition from a corporate job, or explore a fun side hustle, you're in the right place. I'm Terralon, a wife and mom transitioning from a top 5% sales career to become the founder and publisher of Tinseltown Mom. I wear so many hats: former actress, current writer, celebrity blogger, certified life coach, and through it all, I've discovered the power of honing our gifts, learning from our past, and using our experiences to uplift others. Join me on the show as I interview mompreneurs sharing their roadmap to their success. I'll also be giving practical business and money-making tips to guide you towards concrete ideas for generating income. Here, my hope is that you'll find inspiration from God, encouragement, and practical insights to monetize your passion. So before we dive in, I do want to say that if you're a mom with a passion or a gift or skill set and you're looking to monetize it, but you're stuck on ideas on how to do that, then book a one-on-one coaching call with me. I can help you niche down, get clear on your vision, give you marketing strategies, sales strategies. So if that is you, then go to the show notes, fill out the coaching application, and let's see if we're a good fit for working together. All right, now let's get into this episode. Hi, Devyn. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on. I've been looking for a mom gamer for a while, actually. So I'm so excited to get into this conversation.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about it. I love games. I love momming. We're going to have a great chat. I'm
Oh,
excited.
all right, awesome. So before we get into the chat, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your family dynamic, and specifically what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm a mom of four. I have four daughters and no boys. There's no boys in the house except for my husband and our dog. That's all. And my daughters are ages 10 to 4, so they're still pretty young, still elementary school. And it's a lot of work being a mom, but I also am an online video game teacher. And I started this because my husband is in dental school and I wanted to be able to make some extra income for us, to pay for dance and singing and all those little girl things that my girls want to do. And it evolved from this little side hustle that I had going on into a full business. And now I have several teachers who work for me, and it's just kind of evolved into this crazy, amazing thing that I never thought I could do in a million years.
Wow, that's awesome. So what is your work background? Did you have an entrepreneurial background like before you started this online gaming coaching business?
I've always been like a serial side hustler, I guess is a good way to put it. I've done tons of side hustles, but my most recent one before I started with teaching the video game classes was I was teaching children in China how to speak English. Some of your viewers may have heard of VIP Kid, and you would log on at 4 o'clock in the morning and speak English to these kids in China and teach them how to speak English. And so when I was pregnant with my fourth daughter, I couldn't do those early mornings anymore, but I still really wanted to have a business and contribute to our family financially. And I discovered Outschool, which is the platform I teach on, and most of their students are US based. And I started by teaching Spanish classes because I speak Spanish. And then it evolved into teaching writing classes, and they were writing classes about video games. And then my students were like, well, Miss Devyn, I really need help in my video game. I'm stuck on this level. I don't know what to do. And so I was like, okay, I'll make some social clubs. And then my social clubs took over. And now that's all that we do, are social clubs and just gaming classes for kids.
That's so awesome. So for those who are unaware, I only heard of Outschool because of you. What is Outschool and what can you do on that platform?
Outschool is the most amazing resource for all moms out there. Seriously, if you've not looked at Outschool, please go look. Like, you will love it, everything about it, because it's this platform of classes for children ages 3 to 18. And when I say classes, it's a very loose term, right? There is a teacher who is teaching their passion. That is what it's all about. So you'll find teachers who are doing your traditional things like English and math and science, but you'll also find teachers like me who are doing gaming or Dungeons and Dragons. And then you also find other hobby teachers that are teaching like video editing or coding. I even have a friend who has a babysitting teaching class. So she teaches kids how to be better babysitters, or there's like dinosaur classes and circle times for preschoolers. So Outschool seriously is the most amazing resource. A lot of homeschool parents use it to supplement their homeschooling, but it's for everyone. I love it. I love Outschool so much. So it's a marketplace of classes for kids.
That's amazing. So you can actually take whatever gift or talent you have. Let's say it's teaching an etiquette class to teenagers. Like, you can literally just market yourself in that way. Are there caveats to what you can teach? How does that work?
You can teach anything on Outschool. So the biggest caveat is if it's something that's a little bit more subject intensive, right? If you're talking about hard sciences or nutrition and diet or exercise, those kinds of things, they do require a little bit more certification. They're like, okay, are you really a nutritionist or do you just like apples? But for most things, it really is following your passion. So I personally, I do not have a teaching degree. I got my degree in English and creative writing, and I'm able to teach whatever subjects I feel I can teach best to my students. And so it's really amazing because you can follow those passions. They really want you to teach things that you love. There's lots of like crocheting classes and cooking classes. And it's not that you have to have a culinary degree or anything like that. It's like, what do you love? Teach it to the next generation.
Wow, I love that so much. So getting back to you and what you do. So what are your games of choice that you teach?
So my most popular game right now is Pokemon. Pokemon is king, always has been. I also teach a lot of Minecraft classes and Zelda and Mario. Most of the games that are on the Nintendo that are, your listeners' kids are playing, those are the ones we teach, the ones that kids want to play and want to have a community with.
Okay. Yeah, those are very popular games. So just going back to you and your teaching. Now, me as a mom, so let's say I'm trying to get my kids off of gaming. Why would I want to hire you and say, oh, well, let's have Miss Devyn teach my kids more gaming? Like, what would be the impetus for a parent reaching out to you and teaching their kids to game?
That is one of the most common questions I get asked. And it's a valid question, right? Because we know how it is when your kiddo is on video games for hours on end and you're like, go do something else. So I've seen parents approach it in a couple different ways. The first way is Miss Devyn's classes become the screen time monitor. I have a lot of students who come in and at the end of class, I'll be like, all right, guys, we're out of time. And they'll be like, no, Miss Devyn, just 5 more minutes because I have to put my Switch away once class is over. So now I'm kind of the one who's like monitoring that time rather than the parent. That's part of it. But one of the biggest complaints that parents have when their kids game is that their kiddo is all alone in their own little space, antisocial, right? In the basement, in the corner, and it's just them and the screen. But the whole point of our classes is it's a social club. And so they come and they're still playing that game that they love, but now they're also socializing with their peers who also love that game. And it creates this amazing community and it gives these kiddos a place where they belong, because a lot of gaming kids and adults, they don't feel like they have a community. We have things like book clubs and volleyball clubs that schools will sponsor. But if you're a gamer, there's not really a gaming club. There's no place for you to find your peers. And so parents really love it because their kids come here and they get to see all of these other people who love Pokemon just as much as they do. And then in their personal lives, these children, their self-esteem and their self-confidence increases because they have found this community of people. So those are the 2 biggest things that I see when parents come to me and want to try out our classes.
Right. And do you do one-on-one or group coaching or both?
We do a little bit of both. So most of them are group classes because, again, we really love that social aspect. But I also have one-on-one classes for kiddos who are trying to learn a new game and parents don't know anything about it, right? They're like, I don't know anything about Pokemon. Please help my child. So I just had a student who was a one-on-one student for a while, and his friends had all played the Zelda games. This was when the new Zelda game came out. They had all played it, and he hadn't. And his friends were kind of like, oh, you don't know about this? Oh, ha, ha. Just like how little kids tease each other. And so his parents reached out to me and said, hey, Miss Devyn, can you catch him up so that he is on the same level as his friends so that he can, again, connect with them. And so he would come every week and he would ask me the most basic questions like, what's this? How do I do this? And we would just play through the game together. And then he started to fall in love with the game. And as he got better and better at the game, I was like, you got to tell your friends that you did this because this is a huge accomplishment. And he's like, I told them. And they were like, well, that's amazing. So we do group and one-on-one, but mostly group classes.
Wow, that's amazing. And do you set your own pricing or does Outschool tell you what to price your classes at?
Yeah, I set my own pricing. So anyone who teaches on Outschool, Outschool functions very much like Etsy is a really good comparison. Etsy is for selling goods and Outschool is for selling services. So you take whatever you want us to charge for your classes, and then Outschool takes 30% of that total for each student that enrolls in the class. And so you can set your prices, your class sizes, ages, everything like that.
Wow, I'm surprised I haven't heard of Outschool before you. That it
More
makes
people need to.
yeah, they do. I mean, I can see how moms could really monetize some of their passions on this platform. So that's
Yes.
wonderful. So getting back to your business and how it started. So how did it start? Like take us to through the journey of your business when you first started, how you got your first customer and all of that good stuff.
Well, I'm very much a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I feel like that's what you have to do when you're an entrepreneur starting a new business. You have to find your spot. And so when I first started teaching on Outschool, I started with Spanish classes because I speak Spanish, but I was like, I don't want to do the usual Spanish. I'm like, I'm going to make it fun Spanish. And so instead of like bananas are yellow, I made it Pokemon. I was like, Pikachu is yellow and Charmander is orange. And I would count Pokemon with the kids. And so we were using Pokemon kind of as this funnel into learning Spanish. The parents wanted them to learn Spanish, but they wanted to talk about Pokemon. So we put them together. And so I kind of started with that. And I really thought that was going to be my big bread and butter classes. But I also tried out some, like I had an Oreo dipping class. I had a multiplication math songs class where students would come and learn multiplication tables. I had, oh my goodness, I had so many. I had a creative writing class that was all about Zelda. That was kind of where it really started. Yeah, was my creative writing Zelda. And so students would come and it was this 5-week class. And every week we would write something about Zelda. And then at the end of it, we would share them and we would have like the Zelda trivia game and everything like that. And that's how students started asking me. They're like, Miss Devyn, I'm so stuck on this part on Zelda. I really need your help. And so it developed from this everything hitting the wall kind of thing to finding my niche. And I was like, well, I guess gaming is my niche. I've been a gamer my whole life, but I never thought I could actually make money from playing games and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was quite a windy journey, but I'm happy where I'm at now.
Wow. So I know it started as a side hustle. I know I heard of you first from a very popular podcast and it was a side hustle then. I think you were mentioning, oh yeah, you're making 4,000 per month on it. How long did it take you to first start making 4,000 a month as a side hustle to where you are today? Can you take us down the road of what that looks like?
Absolutely. One of the hardest parts about any side hustle, as a lot of your viewers probably know, is it starts out slow. You've got to gain that traction. I think in my first month or two with Outschool, I made like $100 a month. It was nothing fancy, right? It took several months, probably, I'm trying to think how long, probably about 9 months before I was consistently bringing in a good chunk of money. But now, just last year, we hit 6 figures as a business. And I mentioned before, I have how many teachers? I have 7 teachers that I've hired on, and they help me teach my classes. And so now I am an employer to those teachers, and it's really becoming this business that's just growing. It's called the Miss Devyn's Video Game Universe is our company name. So it does take time to build the traction and gain followers. But if you just kind of keep persisting at it, absolutely, you can totally make it work.
Yeah, so that's good. You mentioned that. So you have people under you now. So when you first start, are you an employee or are you an independent contractor? Like, how are you able to scale your business and actually have people underneath you? Is that just something specific to Outschool that they do?
Yeah, they encourage you when you first start teaching on Outschool, you're an independent teacher. And then once you start to gain a following, what happened was I was teaching about 20 hours a week. And that's a lot with 4 daughters, it's a lot. And so I felt like I was doing everything I possibly could. I was stretched so thin and I was like, I need some help. And so you can apply to become what's called an organization on Outschool. And you say, hey, I want to hire on some teachers that will be my teachers and they will help me teach my classes. They will represent me and my brand the same way that any company would bring on employees. And so I'm an independent contractor for Outschool. And then these teachers are independent contractors to me and my company. And then Outschool kind of gives me that freedom to bring on new people, create new classes and everything like that so that we're able to serve a larger community of students.
Wow. I mean, Outschool really sounds legit.
It
They
is
really do.
amazing.
Yeah.
It
No,
is.
yeah. Because I feel like it's a place where you can try and you can fail. And you know what I mean? Because you're
Mhm.
using their platform to try to grow. Do they actually do the marketing for you and the advertising? Like, how does that work? Or do you have to bring in your own people? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so they do all of the marketing for you and they send out emails and they send out, lists and things like that to people of classes that are coming out that might interest them. And so
Mm.
Outschool does take care of a lot of the marketing and they are an international company. I've had students from Italy, I've had students in Japan, I have a couple students right now in Australia. And so they have a massive client book and that's what you're able to tap into. Very much like Etsy. As I mentioned, if you put something up on Etsy, there's already customers coming in the door. You're not starting with an empty store, right? And so it's the same thing with Outschool. The door is open and customers are coming in, and now it's your job to make your product stand out. And so you can do videos and, thumbnails and descriptions and things for your classes. But it's great because they do bring a lot of customers in the door. Now, I also do some of my own marketing. I have a YouTube channel that's for gamers, and I talk about it. I'm like, if you'd like a live class with me, come on over, and I have my TikTok and everything like that. But most of my customers absolutely come directly from the Outschool marketing efforts.
Yeah, you're very popular now. And I saw you on the Drew Barrymore show. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Oh, it was the Kelly Clarkson show. I would love to go on Drew
Oh,
Barrymore too. If any Drew Barrymore
Kelly
producers are
Clarkson, that's
listening,
right.
give me a call. But yep, I
Yeah,
was on the
Drew, if
Kelly
you're
Clarkson.
listening, you need to have her on your show as well, Drew. Like she
Yeah,
would be
Drew, I'll send me a message. I'll take any messages. That'll be fine.
right, right. Now, how were you able to get on the Kelly Clarkson show? Did someone reach out to you? What is that like if someone's looking to like up their marketing, I guess? What is that process?
Well, one of the cool things about I love Outschool because the teachers are amazing. You have all these teachers with all these different backgrounds, and so I have a good friend who's done a lot of PR, and she did a training and stuff and explained like if you want more media exposure, you've got to go to the media. And so I messaged my local news eight whatever, and I was like, hey. I'm a video game teacher. Let me tell you about it. And they were like, okay. And then someone from Fox News saw that interview with my local news and reached out and
Oh,
said, hey, you're a video game teacher. Can we interview you about this? And I said, absolutely. And then someone from the Drew Barrymore show, one of the producers, saw the interview on Fox and said, hey, you're a video game teacher and the Mario movie's coming out soon. We would love to have you on the Kelly Clarkson show.
so
So
you
it
said
was
Drew
all.
Barrymore though. You said
Oh, did I say? It's because I love both of them. Like I love both of them.
I know,
So
I know. I mean, when I say I was looking for a mom gamer, I'm not kidding. Like I was even asking my kids, are there any popular mom gamers out there? And they would name someone, what about so and so? And I would look them up. Oh, they're not a mom. So so you actually should be getting out there more because you are a mom gamer. There's moms out there who game. And how long have you been gaming?
my whole life,
You're-
I've
So
gamed
you're
since
a
I
kid
was
gamer.
little. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I remember when I was like 6 years old, I'd come home from school and my brother would be home and he'd be playing Zelda and I'd just watch him for hours. And then I would fish with him in the game and we'd play Mario Party and Mario Kart. So I have gamed my entire life. And it's such a fun thing, as parents. I think a lot of times we fight against gaming, which we talked about. I think there's a lot of precautions you need to take with gaming, but I think there's also a space to lean into it and really connect with your kids. My daughters and I, we game together all the time, and my husband. We have a Minecraft world. We all log on at night and we build things together and we go on adventures
Oh,
together. And
yeah.
so it's amazing. It's just like any
Yeah.
other hobby. And if you lean into it with your kids, then they really feel that connection with you. And if you're not a gamer, giving them a space like my classes really gives them that connection with other kids and other gamers.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I prefer the safe space like you're creating. Like I think that's
Yes.
better for parents. I think they feel more comfortable because they know who their kids are talking to. They know it's safe. They're not going into some dark area of the internet. So I think it's
Yes. And
wonderful what you're doing.
And that's a big thing that parents do need to be careful about. You definitely have to know what's going on in the chat rooms and lobbies that your kids are gaming in. But like you said, with Outschool, it's a safe space. Every teacher goes through a background check. Everything is recorded. Kids have to have their cameras on so we can verify they are children. No adults are allowed in the class. So it's a super safe space where kids can game and parents can be like, okay, you can follow your hobbies without just like, yeah, throwing them into the depths of the internet. And who knows what they're going
Yeah.
to find on the other side, right?
Right, exactly. So back to a business question, and I love asking this question probably because organization is not my strength. How do you keep organized with all of your students? Does Outschool help with that where you have like a, I don't, I'm just saying a spreadsheet, but whatever tools, a tracking system, a CRM system, or is that something you do on your own? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so Outschool has it all on their page. So if I go onto my page, so right before our interview, I had two classes. I had a Minecraft creative class where kids come and build whatever they want. And so when I log into my Outschool, it says, hey, you have your Minecraft class at whatever time. And I can click on it and it'll show me all of the students that are enrolled. It'll show me very basic information because Outschool is very, very protective of their students. Of course, again, creating a safe space. So all I can see is a student's name and their age and any details the parents choose to share with me. So a lot of times there'll be things like, oh, this student really loves horses, or my student has struggled with dyslexia, or different things like that that will help me connect with the student better as a teacher. And then I'm able to log into the classroom and I see all my students. I verify each of them by camera and we hang out and play for the hour of class. And so Outschool has it all organized by classroom with student names and everything like that for me, which is very convenient because I'm an organized-ish person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but do you actually see your students on video or is it just audio or you do see them on video?
Yes, yep. You have to, one of the biggest rules on Outschool is students have to visually verify that they are a student every single class. So when students come to class, they have to turn on their camera, give me a wave, and then they can turn off their camera. But it's a Zoom meeting. So if they're not comfortable with their camera on, or like if they're eating lunch, they can turn off their camera after I have visually verified who they are. But that is one of the biggest safety things with Outschool because they don't want people in these classes that we don't know who they are. And so every single class, I see all of their faces, and then they can chat in the chat box if they're more comfortable with that. They can chat on camera. It's whatever they're comfortable with after I've seen their face and verify, yes, you are really who you say you are.
Oh, wonderful. So going back to the business part of it, now, how were you able to scale your business? Like, when did you get to the point where you said, I need to have teachers under me? I'm getting so much business. I need to just up my game here. What did that process look like?
Well, it started with my own personal schedule became very, very busy. My daughters started having more activities as they got older, moving, like just getting them to all their places. I was like, I cannot physically teach any more classes. And I didn't want my youngest daughter to stay in daycare any longer because that's where she was at the time. And I was like, if I adjust my schedule, then I can bring her home from daycare. And I was like, but I don't want these students to be abandoned. And so I put out some job ads and I said, hey, does anyone who plays Animal Crossing or Zelda want to teach? And so I went through just like a regular application. I was like, all right, tell me about your teaching experience. We had like demo videos. I did a full interview with them and then I hired them on as my teacher. And then on the Outschool side of things, I started teaching them about how to run a class, a virtual class, and started explaining the different rules and safety procedures with Outschool. And then I introduced them to my students. I said, hey, my schedule's changing because my daughter now has dance at the time that this class is happening. And so here is your new teacher. Her name is Miss Nancy, and she's going to be taking care of you. She's my good friend. You guys are going to have a great time. And then Nancy would take up wherever it was that I left off. And then I was able to start putting new classes on her schedule. As her schedule started to fill, then I brought on another teacher and another and another. And now we've got a whole group of teachers who are teaching. And I'm actually hiring some more right now. I was going through applications today. Yep.
Wow. Now, do you have to up your prices when you're hiring? Because, you have more business costs.
I didn't have to because I had already built that in. I was
Okay.
able to, build my pay scale around it. And as I've gotten more students and, everything like that, Outschool has a recommended price range. And so I've always stayed within that. But I was able to build around what I already had when I hired on my teachers because it's kind of the way I run it is like a commission based. If there's more students in the class, I pay them more. If there's fewer, they don't get paid as much. But there's a
Right.
base starting line for them.
Okay, got you. So all of your teachers, they all teach gaming. Do you teach anything else
Yep.
or is it's all gaming now?
All gaming. And we are expanding a little bit more. So like I have an art teacher, but she teaches art gaming classes, right? So it's drawing Pokemon. And like I have a teacher who teaches music. She has taught music for many, many years. And so I'm building some classes that are like music theory in video games. And so everything that we have has that little bit of a video game twist. We're going to have some like cooking classes, but it's like making sugar cookies that look like Pokemon or making recipes that are in Zelda. And my other goal is to start going into academic classes. So like math with Minecraft or creative writing with Zelda, where my roots were and everything like that. So we're expanding, but for now it's all social clubs for kids with a little bit of learning sprinkled in there, you know? Even though our classes don't have an academic like focus, I think it surprises a lot of people the amount of things children learn in video games, because most video games, you have things like an economy. And so students and children start to learn how to budget very on in a video game, because they're like, oh, if I spend my money on this, I can't get this better thing later on. And things like math with Minecraft. If you're building something, you need to know how many blocks you need to have. So you've got to do the mental math. There's so much reading in video games. Like if your child is struggling with reading, play video games with them. There's so much reading in video games, and just all those different things is very intuitive as kids are playing these games, strategy and statistics and analysis. So even though we don't have a lot of like academic themed classes, our kids are still learning so much just by playing the game.
Wow. Yeah. I love that perspective, because I think a lot of parents, they don't see that in the gaming. So that's good that you're able to pull that out.
Yeah. And it's hard to see unless you know, right? Unless you're in it. Because again, if a parent doesn't play video games, which is fine, it's like, how would you ever know? You would never know, right? But once you get in the game and you're like, oh my goodness, there's so much. I mean, Pokemon is just a giant math problem. It really is, because you have to figure out what moves to do to boost your Pokemon's moves, probability, statistics, damage. Like there's so much math. It is kind of overwhelming, honestly. And so kids who become Pokemon masters at battling, they have got the most incredible mathematical analytical brains I have ever seen. Like I cannot match some of my students with their math skills just in Pokemon. Like it is really an incredible thing.
Now, what would you say to moms? Let's say they have all these gifts and talents inside of them, but they're just letting them lie dormant. Or maybe there's a fear there, maybe they're stuck and they're just not using them. What would you say to them to encourage them to get out of their season of stuckness?
You know, it's really hard to start. That's the hardest part, is just saying, I'm going to start today. You know, it's always and as moms, we know there's always a million things to do. And so starting is the hardest part. And you got to know that you're going to start and fail and start again and fail again, but you just got to try it. That's the biggest thing, is you can't do anything until you start it. And with Outschool, it was very much the same way. I had no idea what it was going to look like. I had goals and I had hopes, but I had no idea what it would grow into. But as soon as I started, then I was able to grab like these things and figure out what worked for me. And so if you're a mom out there and you're like, you know, I'm really good at crocheting, or I really love to do, I don't know, graphic design, or I really love to cook, you know, these skills that as a mom you may not use or you may use every day, right? Whatever it is, or if you love to garden, or if you love cats, like there's cat social clubs, you know, but you can just take that thing that you love and put it out there and then see what the response is. And with some things, you may not get a massive response, but that's when you kind of try a different thing. We all have so many different interests. And as moms, it's really easy to lose it. You become a mom only. You kind of forget what your other hobbies are, and you forget like, oh yeah, I really do love reading. And so if you love reading, make a book club. If you love to garden, do a gardening club where you talk about how to take care of plants and things. Or maybe if you're on like more of a techie side, if you love to do video production or podcasting or something like that, then it's like, well, why not put it out there and just teach the kids how to do it also?
Those are such great ideas. You just inspired a whole bunch of moms with great ideas.
So. I hope so, because there's so much. And like I said, even things that may seem like it's not a skill, but things like circle time, you know, where you're gathering around kids and you're singing songs. Or there's like, my daughter's in a Squishmallow fan club class where she comes and she shares her Squishmallows, and there's other kids with Squishmallows and they draw Squishmallows. So it's just whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you joy. Start there. That's what you want to do.
Thank you so much, Devyn, for being here today. Now, where can we find you if they want to know more about what you do, or maybe they want to put their kids in a class? Where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is missdevyn.com. It's MISSDEVYN.com. And if you just search up Miss Devyn Outschool, you'll see all of my classes. You'll find my YouTube, my TikTok, everything like that. Just make sure you spell Devyn with a Y. And I'm not hard to find. I'm out there.
Hey moms, thanks for listening today. If you were encouraged by this episode, would you do me a favor and share it with another mom who may benefit as well? This podcast, as you know, is meant to be a blessing to mothers, so any encouragement you can offer and any support would be so appreciated. Until next time.